But I really sympathize with Candace Owens here because, I think part of her feels somewhat naive and confused. And that naivete and confusion leads to frustration and aggression because she just can't believe that prominent Jews
she does seem angry.
The discourse. She seems angry but not bitter, which is a rare combination.
But which
I also find relatable.
I also don't think she is naive. I think she is.
But I think anyone when faced with that feels a little kind of gobsmacked and naive.
Well, Black people don't like Jews.
Yeah, that too. But Candace is a weird case because she's not very like culturally Black in a way. She has like the carriage of like a white sorority girl, which is part of her appeal.
Yeah.
But people are like shocked at how oblivious Jews seem to be to how they come off to others.
Yeah.
That's like an ongoing trope of the Jewish experience. And nobody's ever been able to square. Yes. And no one's ever been able to square the circle except in a way that's unflattering to Jews, which again necessarily makes them detect anti-Semitism anywhere and everywhere. Conflict is not abuse because they're somewhat blind to the ways in which, willfully blind to the ways in which they provoke ill will.
Yeah.
It's not through their identity, it's through their words and actions. But I think at some point your words and actions come to resemble something like an identity.
Well, what is the difference? I mean, what makes a people besides their words and actions and their beliefs and their,
and I think the Jews are impressive, if for nothing else, because what originally began as a religion that had all sorts of different ethnic groups and tribal groups under its umbrella literally manifested in ethnos through the Ashkenazim, who are the dominant ethnic group of Judaism, and claim to speak for all the other groups.
Right.
So that's pretty cool and base that they literally they literally chose themselves.
They sure did. Yeah.
I have a good Cudahy quote about that, about this anti-Semitism feedback loop. Because if you so much suggest to a Jew that what we call anti-Semitism is not entirely unprovoked, they'll sort of flip it around on you and accuse you of being an anti-Semite. And he says, not only does anything Jews do or refrain from doing have nothing to do with anti-Semitism, but any attempt to explain anti-Semitism by referring to the Jewish contribution to anti-Semitism is itself an instance of anti-Semitism.
Well, it reminds me, and in the Galliano doc as well, I was reminded of that Norm Macdonald joke that he made on Weekend Update, where he said, earlier this week, Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live, among them that, quote, Hollywood is run by the Jews. Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again. The funniest joke is the truth. It is so crazy that
Well, that's why Rabbi Shmuley's bad parody of an anti-Semitic caricature didn't land, because he's the joke. He's the punchline.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way I can explain it is that Jews legitimately feel like it's more of an existential threat for them to live in like a white society than it is to live in a non-white society.
Well, what about Israel?
What do you mean?
That's their country.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about the diaspora Jews.
Yeah. Right. But that's like the whole idea of Israel, is that they needed to
have their own
place, to have a place.
Yeah. Jews legitimately, we've talked about this before, they've done so much to promote Black and Muslim causes that they can't believe these people are turning on them.
Well,
for obvious and understandable reasons.
Well, the real cynical thing about the Crisis King stuff is that I see Andrew Tate Muslims talking about.
Right. There's been,
everyone's jumping on
some kind of Muslim he is.
Well, but many such cases, they're jumping on the Crisis King bandwagon just because it's being appropriated for anti-Semitic purposes.